Hello and welcome to the Friday show. Now, yeah, as I mentioned on Wednesday, that my Wednesday and my Friday show would have different themes. Well, while my Wednesday show is, reviews and thoughts and the like, the Friday show will now revolve around informing the internet about new role playing things that are coming down the pipeline. I'll name the show eventually, if it continues to work. But essentially, the premise is I will spend the week scouring the internet for role playing related things, new books coming out, you know, all sorts of stuff like that, new games, whatever. Because I personally have found that I'll miss out entirely on games that would be really cool to, kickstart or, projects that I would love to have gotten behind had I known they existed. So, in light of that, I've decided that I will now devote, a fair amount of time to trying to find things on the internet that are cool so that one, I can find out if there's anything cool coming down the pipeline, but now also I can share it with you guys. So now this isn't going to be a comprehensive show. It's not going to cover everything that's happening, every Kickstarter, every, you know, product that's coming out gaming related, but I'll do my best to try and hit some of the either, the really big highlights or, something obscure that I thought was really cool. So that's the premise, and we'll work with that for now. And it'll take time to build up all those sources that I'll need to constantly go to find new stuff. So we'll see how today's goes. Well, over this past week, I have found a handful of projects on Kickstarter and on various sites about upcoming releases and upcoming games and what have you. And four honestly stuck out to me as very cool, very important. So the first one is a Kickstarter from Necromancer Games. Um, Apparently, they did something with 3.5 or third a while back, and essentially tried to make the game feel like those older editions in not only system but in atmosphere and mood, and I mean, as their Kickstarter even states, the lethality. And they actually have a Kickstarter going right now, which they passed their goal. They have 5 more days left, and it is to create 3 books with one's a bestiary, one is a adventure in the old first edition style, and a book of lost spells, which they say will cover things like all those spells that kind of got left behind due to balance issues, no one was using it, or things like that. And actually, the people writing for Necromancer Games are quite notable. We've got people like Ed Greenwood working for them, Steve Winter. I mean, people who are actually of note within the hobby, and so they're all writing that 3 books, and their Kickstarter is going on right now. And for $20, you can get into part of the Kickstarter and get PDFs. So a pretty interesting one. It's a lot of supplements for 5th edition. So with 5th edition having just come out, there's not a lot of supplements out there. There's none actually, with the handful of adventures that were released leading up to, or launched at release of 5th edition. So this is a good way to get a monster manual, for example, though I don't know if it'll actually beat the monster manual coming out by Wizard of the Coast. Get some new adventures and just get new material. And apparently all of this is compatible with the new 5th edition rules. So that's an interesting one to check out. Another one I found that seemed pretty interesting was a game called Psionics by In Transmission Games. Their Kickstarter is also going on, and they've passed their goal as well. And it's a game that is inspired by Akira and Firestarter. It uses a D6 system, and you take the role of these, super powerful psionics, but you're troubled teenagers. It looks like, at least that's the ideal way to play. And it actually looks pretty cool. If you're, I personally saw Akira and I wasn't a huge fan of it. Like, I thought it was really slow, really dull, and above all else, things just didn't make any sense at some points. After I watched it, I think I watched it up to like the last like 45 minutes, and I wasn't hooked. So I probably, I mean, I liked a lot of the concepts, so I'm considering backing this one, but um, it was an interesting world, and this game is designed to play on elements of that, and uh, that darker anime psionic look to it. And I mean, they've got very, very, very low thresholds to buy into, and their slogan is "Psionics, the next stage of human evolution." And the premise is that obviously you're these, super powerful psionics, but you're also being hunted by these shadowy organizations that are constantly hounding you. And it actually looks interesting. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be very niche. A lot of people aren't going to want to play their psionics in that very steampunk, dice punk, whatever genre. But if you do, it might be worth checking out to at least see if you'd want to, or just throw a couple dollars in, you know get a few cool objects, and maybe you'll either get inspiration from it, or you won't. Moving on to the third one. The third one is a Kickstarter by Cubicle 7 for their new Lone Wolf adventure game. Well, it's not new. It's been out for 30 years now. I believe it's the anniversary is this year. But it is a Kickstarter for their new version, new box set, and also to get more supplements and kind of kickstart the line. I mean, they're going to do the line, is what it says. But with a Kickstarter, you can obviously buy them a little bit early. You can probably get a little bit of a better deal, and you can get Kickstarter exclusive things, via stretch goals, or exclusive only printings for Kickstarter. So now I honestly don't know too much about this game. It seems really cool. In concept, you play these Kai Lords, which are specially gifted humans and men and women. It says, I don't really know what race, but that form an order of warrior scholar monks capable of extraordinary feats of body and mind. And it seems interesting. On the surface, I'm not sure how good it would be, just based upon that little snippet and some of these other ones. As a Kai Lord, you're pledged to keep your homeland of Somerland secure from its enemies, most especially the Dark Lords of Helgadad. I mean, it sounds very cliche in a way, but it's by Cubicle 7, which has a long track record of putting out quality games that have very good mechanics, that are really easy to learn, very free flowing, that are keep the narrative moving forward, while also really capturing within the mechanics the feeling of the game. So another one that's really good, because I mean, I personally have never seen a bad game by Cubicle 7. I have never, all their products are high quality, high printing, and just are really, really well put together. They may not always be able to, break the bounds of what they were put in. I mean, you'll never see Chen's rules outside of ancient China, except you may put it in Japan. Yggdrasil, another one that, will very much stay within its, northern Scandia. I assume this is very much like that, You won't be able to break from that little mold, but within that mold, you can do a lot of things as long as it's keeping with the theme and atmosphere of the game. So, another really, I thought it was really cool. and also all their artwork is fantastic, just in general. The One Ring, great art. Chen, same. Yggdrasil, across the board, all the art is always phenomenal. And the final project that I found that was of interest is D20Pro Unlimited Virtual Tabletop by Mesa Mundi Incorporated. Now, they already have a D20 Pro. It's essentially a tabletop, a virtual tabletop that you can play with your friends, wherever, much like Roll20. Though hopefully more stable than Roll20. Sorry, my phone. Hopefully more stable than Roll20, because I don't know what others' experiences are, but Roll20 has always been slightly buggy for me. I occasionally have issues with getting everyone on, or there being a significant amount of lag. Though there seems to be no issue if you do it through Google Plus, but I digress. But I honestly think as the virtual tabletop market gets stronger, it can only be good for the industry, because as it's getting harder, I would say. I mean, I don't know how it is in other areas, but in my area, it's almost impossible to find a group to play in person. So having virtual tabletops means that you can, play with, you can find, first off, play with people wherever. But also, if you did have the fortune of having an in-person group for a while, as life begins to pull people apart, you can still play with your group, that you've been playing with for 4 or 5 years, just moving on to a virtual tabletop that's well designed, really clean, and really has everything you'd really want, and is not as restrictive as some, in the sense that you have to buy various rules packets, but you don't have to do that. So that's really nice. And so those are just some of the Kickstarters and things going on that I found that were interesting and this week, that I thought others would like to know about and could possibly also, want to kickstart, or, what have you. And I'll put links to all of these in the description below, so that, if any of these did actually, pique your interest, you don't have to go scouring. You can just click one of the links down below. So, until next time.